The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who swears we're having deja vu. Welcome, Jacob.
Was that are we in the Matrix or what?
I'm just saying, it does seem like we've experienced this story recently.
Yeah, we have recently, haven't we? Why thank you, let me introduce our co-host, a man who just gets roped in with the wrong crowd. Welcome, Drew.
Still think this would have been a funnier story with a rat and a whatever.
With a no, whatever. Okay, got it.
I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. Didn't we review that movie?
We reviewed that movie 4 weeks ago.
Exactly.
This was not planned.
No, this wasn't.
Like, I know Muppet Treasure Island made it on the list first, and I knew Treasure Planet had been put on the list, but in my mind, for whatever reason, with our rescheduling that we've had to do, because, you can't keep permanent schedule. It's more guideline than anything else. I thought this one had accidentally fallen off in favor of something else, and nope, it's still here, and we watched it. Disney's Treasure Planet. So for those of you who 4 weeks ago were saying, man, I wish y'all review Treasure Planet, your wish has been granted. So yeah, Treasure Planet.
Yes. During the experimental era. What they call it.
It's the experimental era, and this was apparently the one that took the longest time to make.
Yes.
But we'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah.
Why don't we go ahead and jump into the spoiler-free section?
Certified fresh and spoiler-free.
This is my first time viewing this particular film, but I am familiar with the story of Treasure Island, both from the Muppet version and in the past couple weeks, I have been going through the actual original novel, even though I'm fairly certain I read it when I was really little. But it was going to be one of those for young reader novel versions, so I'm sure it was censored and edited to high heaven. I could be wrong on that. I don't remember. But I am going through it right now. I am... Let's see. They just got to the island. And, where I am in the book. So I am familiar with the story of Treasure Island, but I had not seen this one. And if I remember correctly, because this was the experimental era,
yes, this
was at a point in my life where it's like, well, I can't go to the movies all the time, and I wasn't in a big hurry to see Disney films because I'm an anime person. I'm too good to watch these children films.
I'm too old for this.
I've grown up since then. And I don't care that they're children's films, even though this is not a children's film. This is really more of a family film. But when you're young and stupid, you say stupid things.
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah, I hadn't seen this one, which is, it's ironic when you consider what year this came out.
92. Or 2002.
2002.
Sorry.
You know what else came out in 2002 that I played the snot out of?
Kingdom Hearts.
So I had no room to talk. This was high school. I couldn't get to the movie theater. There wasn't one in town. The closest one was on the other side of Tyler from me. So, and for those who don't know what Tyler is, let's just say it's a 30 to 45 minute drive to get to the movie theater.
Yeah.
So, c'est la vie. Movie theater was more of a special thing at the time.
Yes.
So I didn't get to see this one. This is not one I happened to rent because I didn't have time to do a lot of renting at the time. And I probably would have been more interested in renting Final Fantasy The Spirits Within one more time because I remember watching that a couple times at this age. But, and plus that was more interesting 3D for me at the time. And plus I was discovering JRPGs, and that takes up a lot of time. So, yeah, that's the only real excuses I have for having not watched this film at the time. Since then, it's been on my back burner, like so many Disney movies from this era. that I just have never gotten back around to.
Fair.
So I was pleased to see this on the list. I think there's a couple more from this that are still on my to-watch list.
Yes.
There's one I know is not on my to-watch list, but we won't get into that.
Have
Actually,
to do with cows?
Come to think of it, I think this was the year I went to Disney World.
Lucky.
I think.
This was my senior year in high school.
This would have been my sophomore... Well, it would have been the end of my sophomore year, which is why I'm thinking it was that spring break.
Oh, okay.
So it would have been before this movie. But, either way. Yeah, so... I enjoyed it. It's a fun movie. It's Treasure Island, but with some slight changes here and there that are interesting.
Yeah.
We'll get more into that into the spoiler-filled section.
Right.
Would you... Can you watch this with kids? Definitely go watch it. It's a fun sci-fi action film. Although, really, I say sci-fi. This is more space fantasy, but then I'm just being pedantic on my genres, so... It's a little more space fantasy than Star Wars.
Fair.
But, yeah, it's a fun movie. Go watch it. It's a great one. Jacob, what are your thoughts?
So this movie came out my senior year. Wait a minute. Let me double check something. It came out in November, so yeah, it'd been my senior year. I heard of this film, but I was more, Spider-Man's coming out. Spider-Man 2's coming out.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember Spider-Man 2. That was a good movie.
That was a good movie. No, it was Spider-Man. Spider-Man came out in 2002.
Yeah. It was Spider-Man 1 that was 2002. Because they had to re-edit it in a hurry.
They had to re-edit it.
9/11.
Yeah. So I remember watching Spider-Man twice in the theaters. I remember watching it, going to see it with my brothers, and then see it with a lady friend that I had back when I was in high school. And it was fun. Be like, I never saw it. I heard people talk about it. Oh, Treasure Planet.
Mm-hmm. And we've
we've
had a lot of people on this show promote us, a lot of listeners promoting us to watch this one.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of surprised it never came up in a patron pick. To be honest,
I'm very shocked. But I never saw it until what was that? Probably like 5 years ago. Probably like 5 years ago, I finally saw it. I was like, wow, this is a really good film, and very surprised me when the first viewing of it. It was really, really good, and just like it's a very good, very underrated Disney film. Mm-hmm. Would I recommend it? Yes. And this is gonna be an interesting episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
That seemed rather teaserific.
No, it's
the way
not.
You said that.
No, it's not really teaserism. I'm just like, nah.
Like, am I hitting the Ratmaster button tonight or not?
No.
All right.
It was good. It's just more like I've had a very long week, people.
Okay,
I'm just tired.
That's fair.
It's been a long week.
That's very fair. All right. Why don't we go ahead and jump into the spoiler-filled section then?
Yes.
The following is a spoiler-filled review for the film Treasure Planet.
Hey, yo!
Listener discretion is advised. Treasure Planet was written and directed by Ron Clements and John Musker, who are most famous for their works on both The Little Mermaid, Hercules, and many other films of this era.
Moana.
That's one of them, yes.
Yeah. And Moana 2.
And, like, Aladdin. I don't know, they didn't direct that one.
They didn't direct Aladdin.
But they did a lot of the bigger ones. Like Princess and the Frog. Mm-hmm. They actually worked a little bit on Lilo and Stitch, even though they weren't the main people on it.
They did very
They did a lot.
Yeah.
They did a lot. They worked on a lot of different things around this era. It was also written by Rob Edwards, Ted Elliott, and Terry Rossio. And, of course, it is based on the novel Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. Getting into the cast, we've got Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Jim Hawkins, who played Tommy Solomon on Third Rock from the Sun back in the day.
Oh, wow.
He's had some other roles since then.
Yeah.
He was a Robin.
Wait. Oh, yeah. Dark Knight
For
Rises.
5 seconds.
Dark Knight Rises. I forgot.
David Hyde Pierce as Dr. Doppler. And he was Dr. Niles Crane in Frasier. Mm-hmm. Emma Thompson plays Captain Amelia Smollett. And she was the Baroness in Cruella. Martin Short played Ben, which is an acronym that I didn't bother to write down what it stood for.
Yeah.
But He played Jack Frost in the Santa Claus 3, The Escape
Oh
Clause.
gosh, don't remind me of that movie. Oh my gosh.
Brian Murray played John Silver, and he was Dr. Medlin in something called Dream House. I hadn't seen this guy in anything. That was
okay.
And when I was going through his IMDb, it's like, wow, I have not heard of any of this. Dane A. Davis was the voice of Morph.
Ah.
And in his acting roles, in The Animatrix, his only other acting role was as a Versatron spokesman, whatever that means. But basically, this guy was a sound editor. He did a lot of sound editing for this movie as well.
Got it.
Michael Winscott played Scroop. That was the evil mantis that was causing so much problems in this film.
Yes.
And he played Guy of Gisborne in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Guy of Gisborne.
One of the main bad guy. Or no,
not bad.
No,
guy.
he's one of the merry men.
Yeah.
In Robin Hood's gang.
Yeah. I loved that film. That was one of the films I loved as a kid. Now, granted, this is going to be a shocker to most people. I don't think I've ever watched Robin Hood. What is the other one? It's more of a parody.
Men in Tights?
Men in Tights. Never saw it. I know. Shock.
So, writing that down for a Future Plus movie. We're men in tights. We run around the forest looking for fights. We may look like sissies, but watch what you say or else we'll put out your lights. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, don't get us a copy strike.
Kingdom Hearts Connections. I doubt we're going to get a copyright strike from me singing. I'm not that good a singer.
You never know.
But Kingdom Hearts Connections, how many do you think we have? Bear in mind, this is the same year the first Kingdom Hearts game was released in the United States.
4.
I think you're actually right on the money.
Oh, wow.
Let me turn this into a way I can read it. If I can hit the right buttons on here. Yes, 4. We have Chris Sanders. He was a character designer in this.
Okay.
And, of course, he played Stitch in Kingdom Hearts.
I did not... Oh, yeah, that makes sense. He was a designer then.
Yeah, because he was working for Disney a lot at this time.
Yeah, he was.
Corey Burton, who played Onus in this. One of the pirates, that's all I know.
Nice.
He was Captain Hook, the White Rabbit, the Doorknob, Flotsam, Jetsam, Diz, Ansem the Wise, Dale, Yensid, the Master Control Program, Santa Claus, Sark, Shan Yu, the Peddler, Magic Mirror, Claude Frollo, and Zeus. That's a lot to say in one voice. One breath. Tony Anselmo was a key assistant animator in this film, which is his primary job at Disney. But he's most well known for playing Donald Duck. And, of course, played Donald Duck in Kingdom Hearts. Lastly,
the worst magician ever.
Our healer.
Worst healer ever.
Yeah, worst healer ever. Donald Duck does not heal. Anyway, the joke has been said. Paul Eating played Vern in this. And in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, he played Colonel Roy Campbell from Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, okay.
So, what do we got in info and stuff?
All right, so IMDb has a 7.2 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes is a 6.9. And the audience score is a 7.3, so the audience liked it better. You can watch it on Disney Plus. You subscribe to Disney Plus. Production was Walt Disney Feature Animation. Distribution was Buena Vista Picture Distribution. Thank you. I love getting tongue-tied and I can't talk.
Distribution is one of the harder words, admittedly.
Right. But it was rated PG. It had a runtime of 97 minutes. Its release date was... I'll let you guess where it first premiered. On December 6th, 2002.
December 6th, 2002.
Where did it premiere?
You make it sound like it's a film festival.
Maybe.
Of some kind.
It's something, it'd be like, it doesn't specify a film festival, just where.
No, I know. I'm trying to figure, you say where, but it could have been during something. So, I mean, that would explain why it would not be at, say, the the theater Disney owns in Hollywood that they do a lot of their premieres at.
Yeah.
Or at Disney World or at Disneyland. Those are
Yes.
other popular locations to do this at.
Yes.
But the way you say it makes me sound like it's like Tribeca or Sundance. But I'm guessing I'm wrong on both of those.
Maybe.
So I'm guessing somewhere in England.
Close. It was
Space England.
No. Paris.
Ah.
It premiered in Paris.
Wait. Was it at Euro Disney? Disneyland Paris?
I don't know.
I still think that's technically Euro Disney, but either way.
Yeah. But it premiered originally in Paris on November 6, 2002, in the United States on November 27th, 2002. All right, so box office at an estimated budget of $140 million. Its opening weekend on December 1st, 2001 would have been 12,000 and change. Its domestic, this movie did not do well.
This is the experimental era.
Agreed.
It either hit it out of the ballpark.
That is true.
Or it didn't do well at all.
Yeah. So its domestic was $38.1 million, and its international was, I had it a second ago, 110,000 and a lot of change. So it never made its budget back.
Right.
It's not even including a promotion, promotions and food tie-ins and toy tie-ins and nothing. Be like, this movie bombed. But a lot of people, it's become more of a cult classic with a lot of people.
As it happens sometimes.
It does. Definitely like a lot of these like experimental error movies were later on become cult classics. Let's see. Home release. Treasure Planet was released on VHS and DVD in the United States and Canada by Walt Disney Home Entertainment on April 29, 2002. The DVD included a behind-the-scenes featurette, a visual commentary, deleted scenes, teasers, and theatrical trailers, a music video by somebody, a virtual tour
By somebody.
by somebody. It doesn't matter.
The Goo Goo Dolls, maybe?
No.
Because they did some of the
Well,
music in this?
it was the lead singer of the Goo Goo Dolls. I saw his name and I was like, I'm not going to try to pronounce that because I will butcher it.
Now I have to know.
Of course, of course. The lead singer of Goo Goo Dolls, okay? And a virtual tour of the RLS Legacy, which is the ship.
Okay, I understand completely why you didn't want to try.
Yes. Yeah.
John Rzeznik?
Yeah, Rzeznik or something like that. I was like, I'm not going to try that.
I don't blame you now. I do not blame you.
Yeah. No, very much a Slavic language.
Very.
Very. No, thank you. Be like, I appreciate your music. I just didn't want to try to say your name. I was like, nope, not gonna try it. But this THX certified release also contained an Easter egg set in the setup menu. The viewer can highlight any listing and press right to reveal a clipper board. Select this icon and reveal the DVD credits. The DVD retains the DVD retains the number one, still retained the number one spot on Billboard's top selling for 2 weeks, and the VHS was number one in sales for 3 weeks. By July 2002, Treasure Planet brought in an approximate $64 million in DVD sales. It is officially the last Disney animated feature to be presented in widescreen on its VHS format, as the VHS release of Brother Bear in 2003 and Home on the Range in 2004 was permitted on widescreen. However, the Disney Movie Club exclusive VHS release of Chicken Little 2005 was presented in widescreen. Disney released a 10th year anniversary special edition Blu-ray DVD combo pack on July 3rd, 2002. Now, I did try to find where this movie ranked in 2002. I could not find it.
Not high.
No, extremely low. I looked high and I looked very low. I looked at every little thing I could try to track, and like there were points where it was number 2, it's number 8, oh it's number 85, whatever. I was like, what is it? But apparently it did very well in its very early beginning, and then it just sunk.
It happens.
It does. But yeah, that's all I have for info and stuff.
Getting into the summary.
Yes.
On the planet Montresor, Jim Hawkins runs an inn along with his mother, Sarah. One day, Billy Bones crashes his spaceship and gives Jim a sphere and warns him to beware the cyborg. A group of pirates attack and destroy the inn while Jim flees with Sarah and their friend, Dr. Delbert Doppler. At Doppler's house, the three discover that the sphere contains a holographic star map leading them to the location of the fabled treasure planet, where the space pirate Captain Flint hid his treasure years ago. To help Jim search for the treasure, Doppler commissions the ship RLS Legacy, commanded by feline Captain Amelia and stone-skinned first mate Mr. Arrow. The ship's motley crew seem to be heavily influenced by cook John Silver, whom Jim suspects is the cyborg boss Bones warned him about. Under the supervision of Silver and his shape-shifting pet Morph, Jim works in the ship's galley, and he and Silver form a tenuous father-son relationship. When the ship encounters a supernova devolving into a black hole, Jim secures the crew's lifelines. A ruthless arachnid crew member named Scroop secretly cuts Arrow's lifelines, sending him into the black hole. As the Legacy escapes the shockwaves, Scroop blames the improperly secured lifeline for Arrow's death. Silver, realizing the truth, comforts Jim. After reaching Treasure Planet, Jim discovers that the crew are pirates led by Silver, and a mutiny erupts. As Doppler, Amelia, and Morph flee in a lifeboat, Jim retrieves the map. Silver, who cannot bring himself to shoot Jim, allows him to escape with the others. Another pirate shoots down the lifeboat, injuring Amelia. Jim discovers that the map is actually Morph in disguise, and the real map is still on the ship. The four meet Ben, a navigational robot who once belonged to Flint and is now missing his primary memory circuit. Jim, Morph, and Ben secretly return to the Legacy and retrieve the map. Scroop then fights them, but Ben inadvertently disables the artificial gravity, allowing Jim to kick Scroop overboard into deep space. Jim's group, upon returning to camp, finds the pirates holding Amelia and Doppler hostage. Silver forces Jim to use the map, which directs them to the huge portal that Flint used to conduct his raids. Its holographic controls allow it to open to any location in the known universe. Jim, realizing that Treasure Planet is actually a giant piece of machinery and the treasure sealed inside its core, directs the portal to open to the planet's treasure room. While the pirates enter and begin collecting the loot, Jim finds the skeleton of Flint holding Ben's missing circuit in its hand. After Jim reinstalls the circuit, Ben remembers that Flint rigged the planet to self-destruct if anyone entered the treasure chamber. The planet begins collapsing. Silver attempts to escape with a boatload of treasure, but abandons it to save Jim. The survivors board the Legacy, which becomes damaged and unable to go fast enough to escape the planet's impending destruction. Jim rigs a makeshift sailboard and rides ahead, setting the portal to Montresor Spaceport, and Doppler steers the Legacy through the portal to safety. Jim finds Silver below decks and allows him to escape. As a farewell gift, Silver gives Jim Morph and a handful of treasure he had salvaged from Flint's hoard. Back on Montresor, Jim uses the treasure to help Sarah rebuild the inn, with Ben becoming a waiter. Doppler and Amelia marry and have children together, and Jim, having matured under Silver's mentorship, accepts Amelia's offer to become a cadet at the Interstellar Academy. Getting into the trivia for this movie took 10 years to make, having had the longest production cycle of any movie in Disney's experimental era. After it went through production hell, though the production mainly started after the release of Hercules in 1997. The human characters in this are all hand-drawn. John Silver's cyborg leg, arm, eye, and the robot Ben are flat-rendered CGI. The ship was created using Disney's deep canvas process. In some scenes, all three types of animation appear simultaneously. When Jim's mother sits with him on his bed to read his book, on his bookshelf, there is a Stitch doll in an astronaut suit.
I didn't see that.
You'll have to go back and look for it.
Apparently.
The name of the ship, RLS Legacy, is a reference to the book Treasure Island's author, Robert Louis Stevenson. His initials being RLS.
Okay, that makes sense.
At the end of the movie, Dr. Doppler and Captain Amelia, two aliens, got together and had children. A few lines cut from this movie revealed that Dr. Doppler, the male alien, gave birth to the children. Disney ordered the lines cut because they thought males giving birth, even male aliens, was too risque for a children's movie.
Fair.
John Silver is the second villain in a Walt Disney Animation Studios movie to not seem bad at first, reveal his true nature, and later redeem himself after almost slayed in The Fox and the Hound.
Oh, okay.
Or Amos Slade, I should say. During the scene where Jim overhears about the crew's plan for mutiny, Silver confronts Scroop for killing Mr. Arrow, warning him that if he ever does something like that behind his back again, he'll be joining him. Scroop winds up suffering a similar fate as Mr. Arrow thanks to Jim and Ben having turned off the ship's artificial gravity. Lastly, when the pirates attack the Benbow Inn, they're only visible as shadowed silhouettes. But if you watch the leader very carefully, you'll note that it's actually Silver.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
He was actually at that attack, unlike I think in the book and in the Muppet version. So, but then they reduced the number of pirates in this down so that it would
not be as expensive.
Not be as you wouldn't have to design as many characters, and some other characters got combined, which we'll get into. So why don't we go ahead and jump into our likes on this film?
Yes.
What's your first like, Jacob?
My first like is going to be... Hold on, I think I got it all backwards. Boop, boop, boop. So, here's the... I'll be like, I enjoy the non-human character designs. I'd be like, okay, so you have our... the scientist who funds it. I can't remember what his name is.
Doppler?
The rich scientist who goes with Jim.
Doppler.
Okay, Doppler. For some reason, I've been watching a lot of weather.
Yeah, that's where it comes from. The same
Doppler.
thing.
Okay.
Doppler. All Doppler means is you know how when you're walking down the road and the horn and the sound of like if a car is laying on its horn, how it's louder as it's coming towards you, but that's the Doppler effect, and that's where it's the same effect that the Doppler weather radars use to determine the rain.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just where this guy's name came
from. That makes sense. So I absolutely love. Be like, it wasn't really confusion, but it was more like, okay, be like, I know what a Doppler is.
Yeah.
But I was like, the two things somehow didn't connect with me for that. But thank you for bringing that up.
Fair enough.
But absolutely love the character design stuff. The alien designs, I absolutely love those designs. They're so they're so creative, and like the fact that Chris Sanders helped design things with this movie. Be like, okay, plus because it makes sense. He's a great designer. Yeah, I love the design work. I'll get into my dislikes about other character designs in this movie in my dislikes later. But yeah, my first like is the character designs.
All right.
Especially of Doppler. Doppler is just like an amazing design.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
My first like for this film is the adaptations they made to turn this into a space movie. So it is, while it's still doing the whole sailing and stuff like the old ancient longboats or longboats, tall boats, tall ships,
sailing boats,
galleons and such.
Yes,
but it's still using that visual look. But then to make that work, the sails are technically solar sails, except they don't work the way you normally see solar sails work in science fiction because. In that case, the solar sails actually work like actual sailing sails do, where what it's catching is what's actually pushing the ship along. In this case, it appears the solar sails are just collecting the energies to use in the actual engines that they kind of had to hide in the thing. But there's still thrusters.
Okay, makes sense.
And different things, which is kind of odd, but it's also much more exciting to have actual engines than to for it to be all, passive thrust.
Fair.
But so I enjoyed trying to get working those two things in. Like you've got this ancient old ship, and they take a wall, part of the bulkhead off.
Yeah.
And there's like all these circuits in there that they have to mess around with, and it's like it's delightfully anachronistic.
Yes.
In a way. Because it's still this old ancient sailing stuff, and yet you have all this high-tech stuff going along with it. You have artificial gravity on a sailing vessel. Mm. We go to that much trouble, but we don't bother to take into the facts like, how are they breathing in space? Mm-hmm. Which you'd think that's something I would say as a negative for this, but actually it's like, you know what? We didn't need to know, because this is not sci-fi.
No.
This is space fantasy, which is entirely different. It's basically like, it's a fantasy story in space. That's all this is, and you accept it for what it is. You've got aliens, you've got and like you said, the aliens are very well designed.
Yes.
They go to a lot of trouble to make all the stuff work together in such a way. The idea that Flint used a teleportation portal to do all his raids, and that's why he was such a notorious pirate.
Clever.
That was very clever. And they did have to do some rearranging of the story at the end, because they had changed so much, admittedly. I say that like I finished the book, and I haven't finished the book, so I don't know exactly how the book actually ends. I'm just going off of what I remember from Muppet Treasure Island.
Yeah. Which
changed an entire character from being a pirate that was left there to a pig in Muppet Treasure Island, I found out.
Of course.
Because I didn't realize that Benjamina was not supposed to be Smollett's girlfriend in the original book.
Too funny.
But yeah, I enjoyed how they worked it here. I enjoyed the combining of the characters of Trelawney and Dr. Livesey into the one character of Doppler. Mm-hmm. That fits what they needed for the story so well, because you don't really need those two characters.
Yeah.
For most of in fact, if you actually go and read the book, half the characters they introduce are in for like a short while and then are not needed again.
Ah, okay.
And so they do a good job of handling that here. And can I just say that Mr. Arrow's death scene?
Oh yeah,
is probably like, oh, that's terrifying.
Oh yeah,
you got sucked into a black hole, and you're not pulling a Sam the Eagle with that one, where you're going to come back later because you can. No, you're gone.
It's not a Muppet movie.
You're never coming back, and you've gone in the worst possible way. You've been atomized. But, or not atomized, you've been spaghettified.
That's a word.
That's the term. Yeah. That is the term. Spaghettified.
Poor Reed Richards.
But yeah, the things they had to do to actually make this a sci-fi or space fantasy, I highly, highly appreciated. They did a good job with changing that setting into a space adventure. I think it was done fairly well. My only real issue, and this is just me being pedantic with it, I kind of wish that Jim hadn't been reading this as a storybook when he was a kid.
Fair.
But that's it. So, what's your second like?
My second like, again, I think as a young kid, we did read Treasure Planet, and I do remember the book. I do remember the book. I think Drew said early, like very early in the podcast today, was more like he read the book, but it was more the children's book. So I do remember it. I do remember
very highly abridged version.
Yeah, it was an abridged version of it, but I do remember the book. That's the one thing, when you have the visual memory, you remember things very well.
I remember the book. It sat next to Heidi in my collection. I had this collection of books that had been given to me for like my birthday one year when I was real little.
Yeah,
that were labeled the Great Illustrated Classics.
Oh,
so you had like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and Treasure Island and Heidi and a couple other things. I don't exactly remember what it was. And there were these nice, good hardcover books that I know I had. I don't know if I paid attention to them once I was old enough to read, but I know they were probably, some of them were at least read to me as a kid. So, anyway, sorry, continue.
No, but I think my first second sorry, would be the adaptation of it. Even though they do, there's a little role they came up with, which I think the guy who created gave it to John Musker. I think I could be wrong. Gave him credit for it, but it was the 30-70 rule. So you give 70% of what the story of adapting the original story and 30% sci-fi. And I like that because they don't go too hard with the sci-fi element. It's obviously an element within the story, but I did be like, what I remember of reading, listening to the audiobook and reading the book as a kid, I was like, wow, this is a very faithful adaptation, because I remember when Captain Silver, not Silver, but the second mate, sorry, what's his name? Arrow. Yeah. When Arrow died, it was like, oh my gosh, this happened. Because it was very similar to the book. And I was like, wait a minute, this sounds really, really familiar. And I liked it. I really, really enjoyed this adaptation. And I might say something,
okay.
Yeah. So it's the sci-fi adaptation of this classic Buccaneer story. I really, really enjoyed it, and that'll tie very nicely into my third in a minute.
Okay, I think this is not the exact collection I just found on Google, but this is from the same stuff.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
I had a couple of these. I know one of the ones I had Treasure Island, and I remember a couple of these other ones in here. Huckleberry Finn, which I'm sure was heavily edited.
Oh yeah.
And a couple of these others. So yeah, they're still out there. Sorry, I was just curious because I know that
is fair.
I had some of these, and I
did too.
I'm sure they're still somewhere, but they're definitely going to be
kidified.
They will have been censored, abridged.
Yeah,
we'll
definitely
say.
Not Dragon Ball Z abridged,
not like that,
not that bridge,
but definitely more abridged to make it more palatable for the younger set to to read. Some might even say Disneyfied, but we'll move on. We're on my second like. My second like is actually Morph.
Oh.
I know Morph here is just supposed to take the place of the parrot Captain Flint from the book.
Yeah.
Who was a crab in Muppet Treasure Island.
Muppet Treasure Island, yeah.
But the entire time I'm watching Morph, it's like, that's an interesting way to take on this, because that's kind of that works so well for that sort of thing. This little alien that happens to be able to morph into different shapeshift. And the longer I watch, the more I realize something that I want to bring up. Do you realize in a way that that if this morph was a different morph, that would make John Silver Mr. Sinister?
Oh gosh, I knew you were going to go there.
It's a similar relationship. Similar, not exact.
Okay, similar. Okay. Okay, I can see that, because definitely Silver is definitely no Mr. Sinister.
No, I said similar.
Yeah,
it ain't the same.
No, it's not the same. I agree.
Because Silver in this version does have a change of heart.
Yeah, and plus Morph doesn't really go mad and want to go kill his friends.
Well, he did pretend to be the map for a while, which was going to cause trouble, but either way.
Yeah, he was doing what his boss told him to do, so yeah.
Right.
I can see that.
I don't know, it was just a thought that crossed my mind while I was watching this. And it's
fair.
Kinda... Anyway.
Fair.
So, Morph is just so much fun to watch this. Granted, he is taking the role of the Disney sidekick that so many characters have. He very much in the line of Abu and Flounder and... that stupid chicken, Rooster from Moana.
Oh yeah, it was like just cook him, please. Even though he's voiced by Alan Tudyk, it's like either or, roast him.
It's just he does such a good. It's just he's fun to watch in this.
Yeah.
And the little things he does, especially when he transforms into shapeshifts into other characters and kind of mocks them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
a tiny version of them.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Morph is my second like for this.
So my third like is going to be focused on character. It's going to be Silver himself. Be like they do a very good adaptation of John Silver. Yeah, John Silver. I want to say Long John Silver, but
but technically you can't call him Long John Silver in this because that's his name in Treasure Island.
Yeah, the Treasure Island.
But they took that out of his name in this because he's not one-legged.
Yeah, that's true. He's one-armed.
He's one-armed.
Well, technically, it'd be like he does have
he's one-armed, one leg. He's a cyborg.
Yeah, he's a cyborg. Cyborg. That sounds so southern and jank. Not even funny.
Yeah.
But I do like the characterization of John Silver, because again, my closest adaptation would be the book, or at least the children's version of the book, and I do remember John Silver being this kind of a ruthless character, and he does kind of a redemption arc at the end.
Yeah.
And
well, you can see, having read the book, you can kind of see some of that in the earlier chapters with him, because he doesn't. If you don't know who he is when you're reading the book, it does seem like, oh, you're actually kind of a nice, jolly kind of. You're rough around the edges, obviously, but you're kind of a cool guy to be around.
Yeah,
and then you get to the apple barrel scene, you go, oh, you're not. You're evil.
Yeah. But I do like the adaptation of John Silver in this book, where he does grow fond of Hawkins as like a pupil, as a young mentor, as a mentor time character to John, and to
Jim.
That's James.
Well, I'm only getting you on this one, because Jim and John are two different guys.
Oh yeah, I'm aware.
So I wanted to make sure
I got the names mixed up.
I'm mostly making sure I understand that John's being a mentor to Jim, Jim's not being a mentor to John.
That's what I was trying to say, but
even though you can make the claim both ways.
You can definitely towards the end of the book, definitely towards the end of the movie. Yeah. But I do enjoy it where, I think John does have a very an affectionate relationship with Jim. And I really enjoyed their dynamic. I enjoyed John as a character, because he is a ruthless pirate. He's not a buccaneer, people. He's a pirate. Or a space pirate.
Or space buccaneer.
Buccaneer is different.
I think you're splitting hairs. But
not really, because buccaneers they're being paid by their crown to
and a lot of the quote unquote pirates of the era we're talking about, they were called pirates by their enemies, but they were buccaneers by the people who were paying them, because a lot of them were paid by the crowd, by their respective crowns.
That is true, but also the fact
not always, but in a lot of cases
that's true. Also, if we go from the historical standpoint, a buccaneer would become a pirate after they had raided another country, because they were supposed to go after certain countries' ships.
And that's fair. The main reason I'm saying you're splitting hairs on this a little bit is because I think in modern parlance, these are very much synonyms.
Fair.
In how they're normally used, because pirate and buccaneer, they're not really used. And granted, buccaneer you almost never hear unless you're talking about a pirate.
Yeah.
So, and even then, you're talking about the era of the pirates of the Caribbean, and the age of exploration.
Exactly.
Not the people that Tom Hanks had to fight in that one movie off the coast of in the Indian Ocean. Look at me. I'm the captain now. That movie. is based on actual events. But
okay.
I can't remember anyone's name. I just remember Tom Hanks is in the film.
Oh. What movie was that?
I can't remember the name. Otherwise, I would have said it.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
It's like, it's a Tom Hanks movie, and the main line everyone quotes her says, "Look, it's me. I'm the captain now."
You have to look that up. It's like, what's movie though? But it's like, yeah, I enjoyed the dynamics of these two characters. The
Somali pirates. Captain Phillips.
Thank you.
This guy is the look at me, I'm the captain
now.
guy.
Okay, gotcha. I heard that was a really good film.
I haven't watched it. I just know the trailer, and I remember that being a meme for a while.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I've heard so many good things about the film. But definitely,
this is not the pirates I'm talking about.
Yeah, not modern pirates.
Not modern pirates. This is the romanticized pirates.
Yes, but John Silver's character I really enjoyed.
Which, ironically, the romanticized pirates are basically based off Long John Silver.
They are.
Historically.
Yeah, historically. But I do enjoy this adaptation of John Silver. I do be like, far as I remember from the book, is like, okay, this is very similar how it ends with a sci-fi flair. Mm-hmm. But
I'll let you know when I finish it. Like I said, I think I'm about halfway through the book.
Okay.
We just got to Treasure Island. We haven't met Ben yet. We're still trying to get the rest of the loyal crew just realized everyone else was mutinying. Anyway.
Yeah, that's my third like. What's yours?
My third like for this actually is the captain.
Ah.
I wasn't expecting to like her for whatever reason, because she ain't no Kermit the Frog.
True.
But she's not supposed to be. She is her own character.
But she's a cat.
And she's a cat. And I don't like cats.
That's fair.
And she is funny. She's energetic. She's fun to watch. I enjoyed her as a character. She was very... She was both... while very feisty, she was also very noble of a character. And so... the fact that she and Doppler got on together was like, oh, that's not something I was expecting, but you know what, that works. They were kind of he was trying taking care of her. Yes, but I thought she was a great character for this version, and I enjoyed her performance in this. So,
okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
Captain Amelia.
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 Yeah, very feline name. And very
fairy tale.
And very piloty. Amelia Earhart. Amelia.
I know what you're referencing. Mm-hmm. No, I don't know if anyone got my reference, but we'll move on. I was quoting Doctor Who, but let's move on.
Ah, gotcha. All right, so going into our dislikes.
Yes, our dislikes. What's your first dislike?
My first dislike. So my first dislike, again, I don't have a lot of dislikes on this film. Mm-hmm. Well, I think bonus like, just real fast, Stitch is in the episode because I didn't see it before, and he mentioned it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's in this movie. So I saved it. I was going to throw it in there somewhere, but I didn't. But either or is like, okay, Stitch in the movie, A+.
I mean, Mickey's probably in the movie somewhere too.
Probably, but it's Stitch. Like, even they're like, hold on, because Lilo and Stitch, this came out in 2000.
This would have been
a year
after.
A year after. That makes sense, because this little guy shows up. But so yeah, my first dislike is the human character design, because we only see 2 human characters in this movie altogether, except I'd be like maybe John Silver. But my first dislike is definitely I don't hate it. It's more like it's a criticism, because you have these amazing alien designs, and then you get to the human designs, Jim and his mother. It's just like, I don't like how the facial structure design is.
I'm sorry, which character is this?
Both. It's Jim and his mother.
Okay,
Jim and his mother. Now, granted, they're not terrible designs. I just don't like them as from a design, because you have these amazing, very expressive, very creative ways they design other characters, like aliens and all of these, except for the 2 human characters, and
the 2 good human characters.
The 2 good human characters.
John Silver is a cyborg, but he's we really can't tell if he's a human cyborg or it's an alien
Yeah.
cyborg.
Yeah.
I tend to go more with the human. He's just very cartoonishly designed, but that works. It kind of is weird that they went with, let's try to make this character look like Orlando Bloom. And I'm not saying they were trying to make him look like Orlando Bloom. It's just that's the style of...
Are you talking about Jim Hawkins?
Jim Hawkins, yeah.
Okay,
I'm talking about his mother. No, I'm talking about Jim Hawkins.
But be like there's
he's designed to be a little too perfect, is what I'm saying.
Okay, fair. But I have a feeling that Roy here wouldn't like this film either.
Disobedient. Well, yeah, because he's a disobedient child.
He's a disobedient child. Go figure. Man has no taste. I'm kidding, Roy.
Hey, he does learn his lesson.
Yes, he does.
And that usually gets...
So does Lilo.
I know that. Roy doesn't, but I do.
But it's just the like how they do the angles on their faces and how wide their eyes are. And there's certain parts through the film, like their design changes all of a sudden. I'm like, what in the world's going on here? Just stick to your character model, please. And it's just like, okay, be like at one point, like the mother has sharp angles and then she doesn't have sharp angles. I'm like, okay, who didn't get the memo to keep to the character model? So there's little. I
will agree with you because I mean, her and Jim do look like they're almost rotoscoped. Like their movements are almost too smooth for hand drawn animation, and those are hand drawn. So, or at least the pencils were.
Yeah, the pencils are hand drawn.
And obviously, the inking and the coloring would have been done through caps.
Yeah, it's all digital.
Which is digital, but
yeah,
the what they're basing that on, the pencils is hand drawn, and they move a little too.
In
clean.
Some ways, yeah, in some ways
they look like, or not clean, but they move a little too much like you're obviously trying to match an actual human.
Fair. But
rotoscoping was the wrong word. It's just and Grant Disney has done that a lot over the years because they like using visual models for a lot of their stuff. Yeah, but here it's just like, y'all got too close.
Yeah, but it's like the designs of the two humans of Jim and his mother they were a little off-putting for me. And I was like, but you have all this amazing character design for all the aliens, and the humans kind of look like meh. Like, make them maybe a little more cartoony, like how they drew Jim as a baby, or as a little tot. And I was like, okay, I kind of like the design. The eye design was a little bit odd. It was a little too like oval.
I agree with you. I'm just playing devil's advocate with this.
Fair.
They may have decided to keep the humans more plain, so that the aliens stood out more.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's a possible reason. It may not be the actual reason.
I agree. Like I do like the general design of like Jim, like as his outfit, his design. I like that. Be like his haircut, that was great.
Yeah.
But like I think his facial structure was a little bit off-putting to me. And yeah, that's just a little complaint I have with the film. Is that. So that's my first dislike. What's your first dislike?
My first dislike, it's the computer animation in this, which is all over the place.
Yeah, it's very experimental.
It's very experimental, and I understand that. But when we did
Titan
AE, they went so much into making it like CG. I feel it worked better than here, where it's supposed to kind of still look like cell animation, but yet it's very obviously CG. Now, for more, that's about all you could do. But when you look at things such as the cyborg parts on John Silver, the character of Ben, much of the ship, there are a lot of times, like you've got the flat animation of the characters that were or the non metal character parts of the characters walking around on a 3D environment. They have very little depth because all the depth is visual. It's not actual. And they're walking around this 3D environment. They look like paper cutouts. And they're not supposed to. They're not supposed to, but they do. And some of that, admittedly, is being nearly 40 years old, looking back on a 20-year-old film, and being very critical of art style because that's just how things are when you're at this point in your life, right?
True.
So there's a lot. Some of that is there, and some of it is the fact that this did not age as well as they would have preferred because CG was still fairly new, and they were still trying to figure stuff out. But it's just so everywhere in this that, and I think I complained about the CG when we did Titan AE also, if I remember correctly.
You did.
So this coming up here is not that big a surprise. But it's just here, I feel like it's a little worse because they tried to make it cartoony and it just makes the 2D characters stick out more.
Fair.
It's like you can be 2D or you can be 3D or you can do a better job at being the 2.5D that they don't really get good at until you get to Spider-Man. Or that's the first film I know that did it well.
True.
So, yeah. I really don't like the 3D aspects in this because I feel it's too much in your face.
Fair.
What's your second dislike?
I don't have one.
Well, to be honest, I don't really have any other dislikes either. It's not that there's... I could probably nitpick this to death if I needed to, but honestly, there's not much point in this one. So, other than
hold on. Let me clarify.
I would say I don't like the character of Ben, but that's just me.
Yeah, that's be like he's the comic relief character.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's face it. It's... what's that actor's name? It's because he's Martin Short.
Martin Short.
And I don't like Martin Short in general, most of the stuff he's in, and he's very much a Martin Short character.
Okay.
Fair. No offense to Martin Short. I just don't like most of the characters you play, and I don't think your comedy's funny. Which, that doesn't sound like it's any... You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's it.
Fair.
What are you rating this film?
I'm going to give it an 8. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the story. I'm not going to say... There's a part of me I want to say be like it's a better adaptation than Muppets. But Muppets and this are two different beasts.
They're two different beasts. I would not compare these two as adaptations.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I jokingly wanted to make the comparison be like, oh, it's far better, superior to... just a hack with this guy.
Well, see, here's the thing. I would... if we're talking about subjectively, which one do you prefer?
Yeah.
And if you preferred this one over Muppets, you know what? I'd find that fine.
Yeah.
Because people like different things. To a degree, I prefer Muppets because, I'm a Muppet guy, and I just think it does a good job of it. It does good for what it is. Now, if you're going to tell me they're objectively one's objectively better than the other between these two, that one we may have to have a deeper discussion on. Because I don't think you can really object, even though they're telling the same story.
Yeah.
I think they're telling it differently enough that you can't really objectively compare them.
Yeah, agreed.
But anyway.
Yes.
So I'm going to give this about an 8 also.
Okay.
It's a fun little space fantasy movie. And a fun take on this classic pirate story.
Yeah.
Go give it a watch. Form your own opinion. I enjoyed it. It was a fun watch. It's not my favorite.
Fair.
But then not every movie's going to be. So.
Exactly.
So yes, unlike what Retro predicted at 3.5, we both rated it an 8. Thanks, Roy.
Yeah, thanks, Roy.
Next week.
Doing a rewind episode.
It's a rewind episode, yes.
Yes.
I believe it's the Lego Movie.
It is the Lego Movie.
Going all the way back to our 3rd episode.
Yeah.
And the first the first time technically Kingdom Hearts connection became a running gag.
Wow, okay.
Because the first two is like, oh yeah, because that game's because the first two movies were Worlds in Kingdom Hearts. It's like, oh yeah, those all actors were in this, and then you go to Lego Movie, I didn't know that guy was in Kingdom Hearts. Okay,
so we can blame Lego Movie.
Blame the Lego Movie for Kingdom Hearts.
Thanks, Lego.
So yeah, join us next week for that.
Uh-huh.
In the meantime, we've got some bumpers to play. Mm-hmm. And we're going to be going into some Batman after that.
Yes.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This episode, we suggest going and checking out the Retro Rewind podcast. Or more accurately, as I'm mostly promoting Roy here, you should go check out Junkyard Juggernauts, his game that is coming to Kickstarter probably by the time this episode comes out.
Yeah,
go to Kickstarter, search for Junkyard Juggernauts, and go back him.
Yes.
It's also Retro Rewind podcast, where every other week you can join them as they travel back 15 or more years along the entertainment space-time continuum in their mission to review movies and games, establishing what is still worth your time today. You can expect fun banter and trivial insights from Francisco, Paul, and a rotating cadre of guest hosts who are all out of time, and go support Junkyard Juggernauts because this man needs to get paid for this game he made. We love you, Roy.
Yeah.
We really do.
Yeah. Thanks, Roy.
The Cellcast would also like to thank the following patrons: Ashley and Francisco Roy Ruiz, Paul J. Powers.com, the Monster Island Film Vault,
Thanks, Nate,
Edwin Gonzalez, and Artsy Steph.
Thanks, Artsy.
If you would like to have your name shouted out on the show, some special art from Jacob, uncut episodes, or for an additional $5 on top of that $5 charge, i.e. a total of 10, in 2026, you can force us to review a film of your choosing within reason and be a guest host on that episode if you so desire. We haven't figured out how many spots we're opening up next year, but at least 4, so keep an eye out for that.
Yes.
Also, go check out our Redbubble store where you can buy t-shirts and such, and go check out
This Scoober.
Jacob, sorry. For some reason, you're going to hate me for this. I nearly called you Francisco.
Whoa!
And I don't know why.
Wow, okay.
You know how you nearly misspoke and you don't know why that would be
I get it. Because you were talking about
Roy earlier.
Yeah.
And that's where my brain went.
Exactly.
I had said Roy so many times that the Francisco buffer was just filling up. But yeah, go support Jacob whenever he gets on his Patreon and his stuff.
I do have a head full of hair.
Unlike Roy. Go support him on his stuff. He's he's putting out artwork, like not every day, but a lot of days.
Yeah, a lot of days.
We used to say Jacob's Daily Art Corner. Now we just want you to go see his Patreon. Go look at his stuff. He tries to draw there as often as he can.
Yeah.
Go support Jacob on that. And whenever his live streams come back, go support him there as well. And then join me on Tuesday nights where I'm playing different games.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman. There is a song the good folks sing.
Duckman was an actual television show, though.
Yeah, I'm aware.
And I don't think he was voiced by Kevin Conroy.
Yeah, I know. It's just like all of a sudden I heard Duckman in my head.
Quack, 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 quack.
Quack. Speaking of penguins.
Birds of a Feather, which first aired February 8th, 1993. Production episode 46, broadcast episode 52. It was directed by Frank Parr and written by Chuck Menville and Bryn Stevens. In this episode,
That's all, folks.
the uncouth, if erudite penguin would like nothing better than to be accepted by high society upon parole. But a wary Batman soon discovers his foe is being played for laughs by 2 rich lovebirds, Veronica Vreeland and Pierce Chapman, both of whom careen the penguin off the straight and narrow into their operatic peril.
Yes.
In this episode, we've got Mary Lou Henner playing Veronica Vreeland, Sam McMurray as Pierce Chapman, Neil Ross as Jake, and Danny Wells as a guard. Trivia for this episode. The opera the Penguin and Vreeland attend is Pagliacci? Sorry, I had to read that thing 3 times before I finally forgot it was Pagliacci. It's about a clownish figure who finds out he's being deceived, which mirrors the episode's basic plot.
Ah, gotcha.
So no, they didn't get it wrong by not having this be a Joker episode, even though there was a clown on stage. But let's face it, Penguin got clowned in this episode.
Oh yeah, he definitely got clowned. He got slapped with a fish.
And then he ate the fish. The Penguin, newly freed from prison, catches a bus. In the background of this scene sits a thin white girl with short black hair. This is Hopi, one of the main characters from the cult comic book Love and Rockets.
Really?
The man who drew this scene as a storyboard, Ronnie Del Carmen, is a devoted fan of the comic and put her in as a shout-out to fellow fans.
Really?
The Penguin squawks out a grotting accompaniment to Pagliacci.
Oh gosh.
His voice actor, Paul Williams, is actually an acclaimed singer-songwriter with notably smooth, melodious vocals, as can be heard in the Penguin's speaking voice. He is also, for those who don't know, the writer of the songs for the Muppet movie and Muppet Christmas Carol.
Okay,
To give you an idea of his talent, at least as a writer.
So he's a penguin and a poet.
And he made a song for penguins to dance to in Muppet Christmas Carol.
Really?
Well,
I remember that.
Skate too, but anyway.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Wow, okay.
This is the first appearance of cartoon-exclusive character Veronica Vreeland. This is Lauren Bright's last episode as story editor, and Chuck Minville's final writing credit, released posthumously as he passed away in 1992. So, what are your thoughts on this episode? This first good Penguin episode.
Yes, I really enjoy it because there again we get more of an actual Penguin story.
Yeah.
What was the last one? Not
Okay, so the first one we got was I've Got Batman in My Basement, in which Penguin was the villain character for that.
Yeah, but he's barely in
it, and it's mostly about this kid who's trying to
keep Batman safe.
And that's what it's about.
From the Penguin.
It's an early Sean Catherine Derrick episode, which is very obvious.
Fair. But I do enjoy it.
And then every other episode he's been has had other characters in it as well.
Yeah. So it's not really a solo.
This is only the second Penguin solo villain episode. And
he's busted, he goes to the jail, and he claims he's a reformed man, and Batman's obviously watching for him, be like, when is he gonna, pull a flipper out and do something, dastardly? But he says he's in the up and up, and then he gets conned by these two lovebirds, ironically, and then they make the little birdie mad, and then he goes on a tirade. Which, for me, my first initial thought, and I wrote it down, was poor Penguin.
Yeah.
Because Penguin, obviously, he's just trying to go the up and up. Obviously, he's a very, to use a turn of a phrase, a very disgusting character.
Yeah.
He's a penguin man, and everyone just shuns him because he's a penguin.
Yeah, and remember, this version of the Penguin is based on
the Danny DeVito
performance
in Batman Returns.
Which you've got Danny DeVito's general figure there. Plus, they made him more Penguin-esque with having him have flipper hands and they call it a Roman nose in this, but it's a beak.
Yeah, it's definitely a beak. But I do enjoy this episode because you get more like you feel more sympathy towards Penguin, because he thinks that everyone's going to be there for him and no one's there, and he's like, when he gets to his home and no one's there except Batman. Yeah, I'm going to keep watching you. Be like, don't make a move. And he opens the door and he flops into his dusty armchair, and it's like you feel bad for the guy.
Yeah,
because you think, people were going to love me and this, and no one does.
Nobody even remembers it. Not even his fellow villains.
Yeah, nobody remembers him. So you feel sympathetic towards him. You have empathy towards him.
Yeah, this is how you make an empathetic character. Because I mean, he's a villain.
Yes,
we know that. He is a thief. This is his background. He wants to be high society, but unfortunately, that's not the cards he's been given. But he tries. And it's kind of noticeable when he didn't already have like a limo sitting out there for himself and had to wait for the bus. But
I'd be like,
because that was my first thought. It's like, they probably would have let you use a phone to set up a pickup with the local limo company at least.
Yeah. But also, Penguin is expecting people to
care,
to care that he is back in town, and everyone's going to lavish
They're
like
gonna
this
love
big
him.
love on him. But it'd be like the reality is everybody's moved on. No one remembers the Penguin. And so you have these two lovebirds who are like, oh, this would be the
You
greatest.
know what would be a hoot?
It'd be a hoot.
Remember when the Joker was here? Yeah, he stole all our stuff, but we had a laugh. He had a couple giggles. It's like, oh yeah, but he's old news. I bet he'd love to know he's old news.
Oh my gosh.
Just Joker'd make sure you knew he wasn't.
Oh yeah.
But
oh, you're old hat. Oh, I'm old hat. All right. Huh. Okay. Let's cause some mayhem.
yeah. But so when I was watching the beginning of this episode before, I kind of knew these two socialites were going to be the real villains of this episode.
Yeah.
I knew that already, but those first couple of times where he and Veronica are going out, I was reminded of a Batman 66 episode.
Oh, really?
Yes, called The Penguin Goes Straight. Well, it's all these were 2-part episodes. So the first episode was called The Penguin Goes Straight, and the second episode was Not Yet He Ain't. Because there's always that thing in the middle where it's like, oh yeah, whatever the plan of the first one, yeah, now we're going into we got to go into the trap and have the second one where Batman finally succeeds. But in that episode, Penguin is going into high society as a as a good guy. So like that scene there at the beginning where they get attacked by those gang members.
Yeah.
And Batman mistakenly thinks that
It's
Penguin is
Penguin.
with him or with them. That when I watched this, like that reminded me of the beginning of that episode where, granted, we learned later in that episode that those hoodlums were working for Penguin in the 66 episode. But that's because he was trying to get in with high society and steal a bunch of jewels off people by pretending to be an insurance agent or be the owner of an insurance company over high priced stuff. Being a former crook, he should know how crooks think. Was the idea. Anyway, it's a good 2 episodes. But it reminded me of that, and so I thought it was like, okay, we're doing that, but at the same time we're also doing this. We got that aspect of the 66 show, but we're also got the Batman Returns version of the Penguin with that interpretation of the character, because a lot of Batman the animated series is
inspired,
leaning on the Tim Burton
the mutation version of him.
a lot of that Batman show is leaning on the Tim Burton universe of Batman films. It is bringing in a lot of what the classic comics did and Batman 66 to soften the dark nature of those movies.
Oh yeah,
into something that would be more palatable for children's television in the 1990s.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing that. It's like I liked how we're making this character like. Granted, we have yet to have a Penguin as evil villain. Episode.
Yeah.
Which is a little disappointing. But we still had 2 good Penguin episodes, or a good Penguin episode, where it's like, okay, this is a character. This is not just a cardboard cutout that we're going to use in these couple episodes, which is kind of what the character's been for the last most of his appearances up to this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's not a villain. He's kind of you feel bad for him.
Right.
And granted, he is still guilty of his actions in the end, but you understand why he went that way.
Yeah.
Because of how these 2 socialites treated him as a joke.
Yeah.
It's like, guys, this is the leader of a criminal organization. Yeah, he may be on the outs right now, but you don't want to piss him off.
No, you don't.
I mean, just look what happened to the guy who had road rage with the Joker.
Yeah.
I mean, Penguin's not Joker level of insanity, but he can still do some pretty bad things.
Yeah. So there, I saw there's a channel on YouTube I love to watch. It's Variant Comics, and they review comics.
Right.
So at one point, I think this is like leading up to the Penguin TV show on Max. So it was like,
which is based on him as he appeared in The Batman.
So with with this particular episode, they were talking like how ruthless the Penguin actually be in the comics. So apparently, the Penguin was the kind of person you didn't pick on. Be like, you didn't tell him he was short. You didn't tell him that he was this. Otherwise, he would wreck your shop.
Yeah.
Literally. Be like, he would kill everybody in your family and leave you with nothing. Be like, he literally butchered somebody for picking on him.
Yeah. And
so, yeah, we got a little more of a kid-friendly adaptation of Batman Returns joke. Penguin.
Yeah. It does work, and I appreciated him, and Paul Williams does an excellent job again.
Oh, yeah,
as
agreed.
The Penguin in this. So,
agreed.
You ready for the next one?
Sure. Let's get into another riddle.
What is reality? Episode first aired on November 24th, 1992. It's production episode 48, broadcast episode 45. It was directed by Dick Sebast and written by Marty Eisenberg and Robert N. Skier. In this episode, when the fugitive Riddler begins to erase all traces of his former life as Edward Nygma, he traps the mind of Commissioner Gordon inside a virtual reality world. Batman must enter the computer-generated landscape and navigate a series of deadly riddles if he is to rescue his friend and ally. In the end, he causes the Riddler's concentration to falter, and the villain winds up snared in his own trap. In this episode, we've got Beverly Lee Banford playing a clerk and Hal Rail playing a broker. Those are our only new actors. Trivia for this episode. The Riddler pretty much does the exact same thing he did in his first episode, If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich? By trapping someone in a specialized game where Batman must solve numerous puzzles to save the captives, either Daniel Mockridge or Commissioner Gordon, depending on which episode we're talking about. The chessboard stage of the virtual reality world was adapted into the second stage of the Riddler level in the Super Nintendo game The Adventures of Batman and Robin from 1994. The look of Nygma's virtual world was inspired by the works of famous surrealist painters. The staircases Gordon and Robin walk around on are trademarks of M.C. Escher.
Makes sense.
The train emerging from the fireplace was an homage to Rene Magritte's Time Transfixed, and the place where Nygma and Batman had their final confrontation was a nod to the paintings of Giorgio de Churco. I probably said that last name wrong. The idea of the Riddler leaving behind a numeric pattern behind in the questions of past riddles was later used in the feature film Batman Forever in 1995. In this episode, Bruce Timm was not satisfied with it, although he ironically complimented ACOM's work on it. He stated, "Virtual reality is too science fiction-y for our show. While it may be conceivable that it will work in 4 or 5 years, Batman transforming himself into a Black Knight and flying around on a chessboard is unfathomable to me. Strangely enough, it's one of ACOM's better shows. They pulled off all the special effects really well." The Baxter's Box is clearly an homage to the Rubik's Cube.
True.
The name Baxter's Box, however, might just be a coincidence, but Nick Baxter is a software engineer who is well known in the puzzle world. He was part of the U.S. team in the first World Puzzle Championship held in 1992. He has since served as captain of the U.S. Puzzle and Sudoku teams and had a number of websites dedicated to puzzles, including an auction site for rare mechanical puzzles. His personal collection holds over 3,000. Only a few months after this episode aired, the Nightfall play on words was used as the name of for the mainstream comic book storyline that featured Bane breaking Batman's back and a temporary substitute taking up the mantle.
Yes. Azrael.
To those who know their video game history, you might notice that the red coloring used throughout the virtual reality segments of this episode is very reminiscent of the Virtual Boy.
Yes.
However, the Virtual Boy was released in 1995, and this episode was made in 1992. So the fact that the virtual reality in this is just as red colored as the virtual reality on that is purely coincidental. Unless the people over in Japan, Gunpei Yokoi, saw this episode and thought, that's the color we'll use for our virtual reality.
Yes.
Red.
And give everybody a headache.
I mean, there is a warning on the thing that says, don't use this console for over an hour or you will have a headache.
Yes. I tried playing it for like...
You've done better than me. I have yet to get a chance to actually try the thing.
Yeah, so quick story. Our a really good friend of mine, like when we were kids, my brother Jim's best friend, David, he got a Virtual Boy. He got a Virtual Boy. And he brought it over to the house and was like, we tried it out. Be like, I was on that thing for like 10 minutes. I was like, oh my gosh, my eyes are killing me. Because you can't wear glasses on them.
Yeah, you can't wear glasses.
You can't wear
them.
glasses, so I couldn't see a thing.
And and they did not strap to your head like the modern virtual reality.
You literally,
goes.
your face is here.
You set it on a table and you kind of have to stick your head up to it to look through these two little windows.
Yeah, and it's got little bars where you can just look at it.
And I was like, I don't even know how you could play it for more than 15 minutes without going insane.
Yeah. But apparently they're still very popular with collectors.
Well, yes, with collectors, because it's very, very rare, because not many people bought them.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, what are your thoughts on this episode?
My first thought was the Virtual Boy. That was my first thought. It was like, this is a preview to Virtual Boy. Had to be. It's like, no, it wasn't.
No, but, it's literally like 3 years before they even started the even thought of Virtual Boy.
Yeah, and like Edward Nygma is like a really, really great character in this show. I think they changed his character design just very slightly from his first appearance into this one. I think I could be wrong.
It is slightly changed, especially in his unmasked form.
Yeah, his unmasked form.
His unmasked version of him unmasked is completely different from what I think it was in the original.
It is. Like, he was slightly skinnier, and they changed his character.
Well, he had a bigger, dorkier head in the first one.
He did. He did a much big, dorkier head. But
it was really weird when he's like, doesn't have that as the Riddler.
No. But like, it's a good episode. I think like the Maze of the Minotaur, that was the first big one.
First one.
The first one was amazing. This one's really good because you get Commissioner Gordon trapped in the virtual reality, and Batman has to go in and save him. And it's like really clever. It's like, oh, okay. Be like, yeah, it's not hardwired into the internet because there again, it was the 90s, people.
Oh, I've got an issue with that line.
But then it's like, what was it like?
Okay, let's get into it real quick.
Yeah.
Robin checked that there was no software that allowed it to connect to the internet, but I mean, you can hide that. But he didn't check the hardware. He says, but there's not a phone line hooking up to it. This is the age of dial-up, so at the time, you'd had to have a phone.
Yeah.
He says, but you didn't check and saw that it has and I'm not quoting with how he said this, wireless modem line.
Yeah, wireless modem line in the 90s.
First off, if it's wireless, it's not a line. There's
true.
no line. And if it's wireless, I'm assuming it's satellite. Which, at this time, you're probably not sending that much data back and forth, but...
Definitely for that, yes.
Well, I mean, you got... And here's the other thing. This is a mainframe computer. And it's a big mainframe computer that they're using for this. And they were able to just put it into the police...
The commissioner's room.
Well, it's a computer lab in the police station.
Yeah.
Which is just which looks like every other major office building around.
Mm-hmm.
So how did they get it in there?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Interesting. How does that work?
If it's wireless, it's not going to have a line, Riddler.
In the story.
But anyway, I get what you're trying to say.
Yes.
It's got a wireless modem on it. There.
Just the line on it.
There was the line
wire, yeah.
The line was an odd thing to add. So it's like, okay, so you basically got a satellite modem on it.
Yes.
There, let's move on.
Yes.
And still, how did you get this giant computer in this little tiny computer
Did they
lab?
take it apart? Did they?
No, they couldn't have. It was in that giant puzzle box thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it was like in the
Also,
it was in the foyer. It was in the foyer of the building, and then how do you move it up? How many flights of stairs?
Have you noticed that at the beginning of this series, the Commissioner Gordon was the only policeman on Batman's side. Now Batman and Robin just walk around the police station like it's no big deal.
Yeah,
they just like, oh, Robin's hanging out in the in the Gotham City Police Department's computer lab,
just
working on this giant Riddler box. Meanwhile, Detective Bullock's upstairs, like, how am I gonna get the Batman?
When his sidekicks a floor
Right
down.
downstairs, and he's like, And plus, why did Commissioner Gordon put the virtual reality helmet on?
He was curious.
But then why did he not take it off when Robin left?
That is true. Maybe he got sucked into the game a little bit. It's like, oh, this is fun. And then, I got stuck in.
All I'm saying is he kind of let himself do it.
That is true.
I understand
Like
being
the
curious.
plot
but it's
demanded it.
The plot demanded he be stuck in the game by himself, so they made it happen.
Yeah, because there was no lock like that before. Like anytime, like
Yeah, Robin didn't have any trouble with this.
no, but for some reason now there's this special automatic lock on this door.
And here's another question. Later on, Batman has that communicator thing going on with Robin. Mm-hmm. And then when they're trying to figure out when Batman's trying to figure out the cube, and Robin says, "Oh, I can help you with this," Riddler sends feedback through the headset that's not connected to his computer system to keep Robin from helping. How? Did it take you a while to figure out the frequency there, Riddler, to send a jamming signal?
Yeah.
Is that what the problem was?
And
Is that what you did?
That'd be two-way because it would also affect Batman because we don't see that.
Yeah. It doesn't affect Batman.
No,
It only
not
affects
whatsoever.
Robin. So it's like, okay. This is a fun episode. It's got problems. I think of the two
Yeah, from a technical standpoint.
of the two Riddler episodes that are basically kind of the same thing, but
Kind of.
changing the stuff around.
It's Riddler.
I think the first one, if you're so smart, why aren't you rich, is the better made episode.
Oh, agreed.
And has the more interesting riddles to it. Because to a degree, when Riddler's there, you want to be able to try and figure out the riddles along with Batman.
Exactly.
And the riddles here were not that interesting.
Agreed.
And really, once there were really only 4, the 3 ones that any kid could get, and the one at the end about if the world were fair, if all things were equal, I'd still have my old job.
Yeah.
Which I literally thought when I was looking forward through these episodes, I thought that was in the last one, but it was this one. But anyway,
Yes.
it's a fun episode.
Yeah, it's a fun episode.
It's just not as good as the previous one.
Agreed. There's a lot of technical issues with it.
And a lot of prophesying about the beginnings of virtual reality from Nintendo,
True.
which I find funny.
Yes.
But anyway,
Yes.
anything else before we promote next episode?
Nope.
So along with the Lego Movie, we've got I Am the Knight and Off Balance.
And off balance.
And if I'm not mistaken, Off Balance is the Ra's al Ghul episode.
Okay. Ooh. Detective. If I could do that voice, it'd be great.
Join us next week for that. You got anything before we cut out?
No. I will be out.
We do have a 2-week hiatus.
Yes, we do.
Short hiatus coming
short.
up. One's for the 4th of July. One's because of Jacob's. It's not. I wouldn't call it an emergency at this point.
No.
But it is a thing he's going to have to be out of town for.
Yeah, my dad is having surgery.
Yeah.
In July.
Yes.
In July, it goes that far, and we will be returning because me and my wife will be returning from a vacation. So
basically, that week that all this is happening, Jacob's not going to have time to watch the movie in time. So we're just letting him have the week off.
Yeah. Which is appreciated.
We've got some stuff.
Yeah, we got some plans.
Take its place, so keep an eye out for that.
Yeah. Just curious. But like, don't we have a hangout tomorrow of some kind?
I've only officially announced that to patrons.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And I'm not actually going to cut that out of the regular episode.
You're welcome.
But in the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
To follow Jacob and Drew's individual internet exploits, check out the Linktree links in the show notes. You can email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter or X at @cast_cell. Follow our Facebook page, The Cellcast Podcast, and join our Facebook group, The Cell Nation, our YouTube channel, Cellcast, and our Rumble channel, the Cellcast Gaming. You can join us every Friday night at 7 p.m. Central for our live recordings of our episodes on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. You can also join Drew on those same streaming channels on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Central for gaming streams. You can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts can be downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. Our bad movie theme is It's Party Time by Gregory Snegoff, with additional audio from the film Titanic: The Legend Goes On, and remember, that's Cell with a single L.
Would this movie be better if Tim Curry was playing John Silver?
I don't think so.
Hypothetically.
I don't think so.
I don't think he'd fit the... He would not be
wouldn't.
playing it the same way he did in Muppets.
No, because in
He'd be playing it more like the more evilly.
yes, like more of his traditional, cartoon villain.
Yeah.
Because in this,
It would be much more toxic.
yes, toxic love.
I was wondering if you'd catch my reference.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, we reviewed that film before.
Yes.